Oh, you're already here. We have another 2-3 minutes. We are waiting for the other ones to arrive. We will start at 10. So now's your time to grab a coffee and prepare. Maybe check your emails because then, of course, you need all the attention you have for our webinar. I will not go into detail what we are actually talking about. That will be a secret which will be revealed in about 2 minutes. Okay, let's start. Hello and welcome from Hanover, Germany. This is another live webinar from IF. My name is Frank Zirnberg, and over the next 45 minutes I will guide you through this webinar. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and of course our website, the IF World Design Guide. The goal of this webinar is to help you get the most out of your participation in the IF Design Award. So please ask as many questions as you like. You can leave them in the Facebook section and the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. You can also write us an email to award@ifdesign.de, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can in the Q&A section later on of this in this webinar. If we cannot answer them, we will answer them by email or by replying to the comments. And even if you're watching this webinar as a recording later on YouTube or Facebook or on our website, you can leave questions and we will answer them. Okay, 45 minutes. We have a lot to talk about. I would like to switch to the presentation now to show you what we actually are going to discuss. The focus today will be about how does the participation actually work, how to write good design statements and criteria texts, how to create a good PDF file or video to best present your entry to the jury, and of course, in the end, the Q&A section. I would like to point you to our last webinar, which you can find as a recording on our website, on YouTube, and on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. And this webinar will focus more on IF, our general activities, the social impact prize we are organizing, the talent award for the students, other projects and services we are offering, and give you an introduction to the IF Design Award, which will also talk about the why you should participate and what is your benefit, because we have a lot of tangible benefits you can use for your communication to really make the best out of your success and to stand out from the competition. So if you want to get more information on that, check out our last webinar. Today it's very focused on the topics I introduced on how to win an IF award, how it works, and how to win an IF award. To give you an introduction on the IF Design Award, some of you might be completely new, so I would like to show you a short 30-second video on the IF Design Award. So let's switch to the video. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, if you want to participate, the most important thing is to catch the deadline. You have 20 days to register. The registration deadline is on the 1st of December, and we will not extend the deadline. So make sure you're in. If you have any questions, you can ask them. First, let's talk about how does a participation work. You can structure participation into 5 simple steps. First of course, you need to register. Then we will have an online pre-selection. Then you can prepare your entry for the final jury. If you pass the online pre-selection, then the final jury will take place. And then if you win, what we all hope, you can celebrate and really benefit from the IF Design Award. Let's look into each step a little bit more in detail. The registration deadline, the last chance registration, as I said, is the 1st of December. The basic registration can be done really quickly, 5 minutes. You'll just put in the project name, choose a category and discipline, which we'll go in a little bit more into detail later on. How to do that, how to best do that, because that's quite important. And there's a step-by-step guide, which will guide you through the process. And you can prepare an entry. If you put in the basic information, you can hit register and come back later. Or if you want to have everything off your desk and finish the registration in one step, we will guide you through the registration, and then we'll tell you exactly what you need to do, and you will have a simple process on supplying, for example, the material, which we will talk about a little bit in detail later on. You, of course, to register, have to get a user account, a MyIF user account. Then you can register an entry. You should upload digital material, put in the text, answer some simple questions. We'll talk about this later on in detail. You should choose a presentation form for the final jury when you register. This might sound a little strange, but we have a very short time between the online pre-selection and the final jury. So we'll ask you now, if you pass the pre-selection, how would you like to present for the final jury? Would you like to send a project physically as a product or a packaging? Or do you want to present in digital form? So you need to make this decision when you register. Please have a look at a tutorial we did. So if you want to really have information on every step, on every field you need to fill in, we have a tutorial also in several languages. We have it in Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish. So check that out if you want to learn more about the actual registration. The online pre-selection. This is a new element we introduced. It will take place end of January. This is an online jury, of course, with a brand new jury tool we developed especially to judge entries online. It will be a process of 5 days, and it will involve approximately 80 jurors from all over the world. Design is international. Projects always have a cultural background, or many times have a cultural background, so you need an international jury, which is, of course, qualified and renowned in their field. The jurors will give scores for each entry, and they will give score for each criteria, and this will then lead to a total score. We'll make a ranking of all the entries, and the top 50%, they will qualify for the final jury. As a participant, you will get a jury report after the online pre-selection. So every participant will get a detailed feedback on the reasons why you either passed the online pre-selection and qualified for the final jury, or you didn't. So you will know why. The entries which are qualified for the final jury will be published on our World Design Guide in a special exclusive collection. The finalists receive 5 top label ranking points for each entry which passed the pre-selection. The top label ranking is based on industry rankings and country rankings. And if you qualify for one or more ranking, for example, I'm #1 in Japan, or I'm in the top 10 for interior architecture in Brazil, you'll get a special label you can use for your communication. Again, in the first webinar, I'm introducing this a little bit more in detail. So if you want to know more about this, you can check that out. And of course, as a finalist, you can communicate your success. You can tell the world, wow, I passed the online pre-selection, I'm now in the final jury, please, let's say, wish me good luck. However you like, you also can keep it a secret. Preparation for the final jury, that's the next step. After you pass the online pre-selection, you can decide, depending on what you decide how to present your entry for the final jury, you either ship your physical entries or you upload more digital material or modify your digital material, because that probably makes sense because you get a jury feedback. So, and you can learn from the jury feedback. If you will see the scores for each criteria and your overall score, and if you think, well, I only get not enough points from my point of view for a certain criterion, you can then maybe modify the material and talk more about function or talk more about aesthetics if you think the jury didn't really get the core of your project. We'll talk more about the criteria and the text later on. So you can modify that after the final jury. You have 1 week time. You will get the results of the online pre-selection on the 28th of January. And you have time until 5th of February to modify your material. The final jury will happen in the end of March in Berlin. And this will be a mix of digital jury and a physical jury. The physical projects will be judged in physical form, and the digital projects, of course, in digital form. In any case, if you choose digital or physical, all the entries will be judged with the appropriate attention and care. You can put a lot of material so the jury will understand your project in the best possible way. The final jury will take place 3 days, and since we only 50% of the entries qualify for the final jury, we need a little bit less jurors, so it will be around 60 judges, which will judge the projects. This will be a more discussion-based jury, so the online pre-selection will be a more individual jury. The jurors have the possibility to discuss with each other, but there the idea is that every juror individually judges an entry, and in the final jury, they then look at their decision they individually made and then discuss about it and learn from each other, and then maybe adjust the scores if it's necessary. If they think, wow, the decision was good that we made, then they might leave the score as it is. But maybe you have updated the material, or the physical product brings in different components they didn't think about or didn't see, so then they might adjust the score. And then at the end of the process, the winners are chosen, and the IF Gold Award winners are chosen by in a special process, discussion-based process, by all jurors. And then, hopefully you will win one of those. That's the IF Gold Award, by the way. All the Gold Award winners will get this award. And even if you don't win the Gold Award, you can celebrate, of course. It's a big success. I mean, you left your competition behind. After the final jury, all the participants of the final jury, whether they have won or not, will then get the updated jury report. And all the winners will be published in the World Design Guide in a special exclusive winners section. And you can then start to use your benefits right away. All the benefits are again introduced in detail more in the last webinar, but you can use the logo, you can do the communication, we will give you press material, we will do press, we really create a big wave of attention and communication together. So this will really be outstanding, let's say, impact. One part of the outstanding impact is the IF Design Award Night in Berlin. This is one of the biggest international design events worldwide. We'll have 2,000 guests from last year, or the year before it was 20 countries. So it's very international. And as one jury chairman of IF once said, if you do not network here, you will never network. So that's a huge networking opportunity during the IF Design Award Night. Okay, now the most important part, tips on how to win. We called this webinar How to Win an IF Design Award. And it's a little tongue-in-cheek because, to be honest, there is, of course, no direct way to win an IF Design Award. The way to win an IF Design Award is to do good design. If you have good design, you can win an IF award, but there is no other way. But you can work on your presentation to the jury to convince the jury of your project. And this is something we'll talk about more in detail. There are some other tips which might be useful, so let's check that out. First of all, it's important for you to understand the disciplines and categories, because we will invite the jurors according to their expertise so they can really understand your project. And you will have the right experts if you choose the right discipline and category. I would like to show you and give you a quick overview over the disciplines and categories live on our website. So I will switch to the website. So this is our website. This is the starting page, live webinar. Wow. And so you have all kinds of information here. But what we want to look at now is the awards section here, and then the IF Design Award 2021. And there you find, of course, all the information on the IF Design Award. You have an introduction, of course, you have a sign-up section here, a sign-up button, some videos to give you more information. Here's the why, is of course where we talk about why you should participate. Then the update of the process and the IF Design Award, because we really did a lot of changes this year. So if you are a very traditional participant, if you have participated for many years, you might want to check that out, because we have really updated the award. Then webinars and tutorials. Here you find the benefits, entry guide in different languages, and here you have the disciplines and categories. So you see we have 9 disciplines, and each discipline has then categories. Automobiles, vehicles, sports, outdoor bicycles, leisure, babies, kids, and it goes on. Here you find examples, and please keep in mind these are examples. If your project is not there, it might still fit. If you're not sure if your project fits or where it fits, please ask us. We will guide you and we will choose the best category for you on discipline. So your project has the best possible chances, because if you have the right experts, the project is understood in the right way. One thing which I also would like to point out is you can register, sometimes it's in between. So you have product, for example, and service design, so you are not sure, could it be product and services? You could also register both. Again, let us know your project, we will look into it, and then we'll choose the right possible solution for you. So these are the categories and the disciplines. Just to quickly, you have the evaluation criteria we will talk about on the website, dates and fees, frequently asked questions, and of course our contact data. So there you find the categories and disciplines. Let's go back to the presentation. So that's the first tip. Then the second tip, have a look on how the previous winners have done it. How do you do that? Again, looking at the World Design Guide. So let's go back to the website. Here you see the winner section. This is the exclusive section where only the winners are presented. And there you find all winners since 1954. And there, these are the most current winners. And here you have filters. And you can filter by time, you can filter by discipline, and you can filter by category. So you can choose exactly your industry, your category and discipline, which you think might fit you, and look the other projects which already have an award. And you can read the text and watch, see the pictures, and maybe watch some videos if the participant published some videos. And then you can see, first of all, you can see, do I fit in? Is that the right discipline or category for me? And is the quality level like on my quality level? And then you can learn how others wrote the text, because if they won, the text might be very convincing. So you should check out some more projects, not only one, because sometimes maybe the project is perfect, the text is not so good, but there's your opportunity to really look how other winners have done it. Let's go back to the presentation. Fill out the online registration carefully. Write useful text for the online registration and carefully prepare images, PDFs, and videos. This is your opportunity to convince the jury. How to do that? Design statement. This is the most important part. Every project, the jury will read the design statement. That's the first thing they will read. So it's like an elevator pitch. It's a project summary, very short, 650 characters, including spaces. You need to focus on the facts. What is it? Why is it relevant? How does it work? In a nutshell. Not so much marketing claims. If you do those, back them up. If you say it's an innovative project, okay, but why is it innovative? If you say it's outstanding, might be, why is it outstanding? Focus on numbers and results. These are most convincing. Maybe patents, because a patent always really certifies that it has some innovation. Also maybe sales numbers, that you say like after we introduced the projects, the market really was revolutionized or something, and back that up. The inspiration is not so really relevant in the project summary. We'll have a different part, you could put that in, because it's more relevant what's on the table or what the jury sees right now. If you had the idea under the shower, or if you worked really hard on the idea, it's not so relevant at that point. Use that space more for numbers and facts. Also not the aesthetics, that's also, I would put that in the criteria text. And keep in mind that the jury, they are designers, they are experts for aesthetics. They are seeing the project when they read the text. So what they might not be experts in is very, very detailed in your industry, and maybe, for example, the technical parts, the numbers, the facts. That's not something they might know, so focus on that. And maybe, depends really on the project, but let your design team write it. They know how to talk to designers, so even if it's your design team or an external design team, ask them to write the design statement, and it probably will make a better impression than because they know how to convince designers. The images should go from overview to detail. Also, you shouldn't put text in images, because if you will present them big or small, the text might look funny. If it's the physical projects, show some materials, show some details, show some construction. And less mood, more function. You could, if you win and want to have a presentation later on, you can exchange the pictures for the presentation in the World Design Guide later on, but for the jury, function is better than mood. Can present one picture showing some settings or environments or something, but not only nice mood pictures. Okay, criteria. This is something new. As you can see here, we analyzed, we really get into the criteria, how to judge design, put in all kinds of aspects under which you can look at design. Then we boiled that down and put this into 5 criteria. This is idea, form, function, differentiation, impact. And visualize that with a scorecard. That's this graphics you're seeing right now. As you see, the red section will be is an example score. So this project, which is the example here, has gotten these points, which you can, which are visualized by the red space. And then there's an average score where you can see where the others are standing, or where the average is. In the registration, we ask you for a text for each criteria. So you can really explain what was the idea. What was the task? Why is it relevant? And why is it appropriate? So sometimes design solutions are overdone, or solutions are overdone, or not enough. So you can say like, okay, this is exactly the appropriate solution. Why is it relevant? Does it need the world? Does the world need it? Keep in mind that these questions sound really big. Right? If you have a refrigerator, it's relevant, right? People need to cool things. So don't get intimidated by these big questions. You surely have a task for the refrigerator, and it's surely relevant, right? Next criteria will be form. That's, of course, the aesthetics. Why is it beautiful? Here you can talk about aesthetics, but also how does it create the target group? Does it create this, I want this effect, right? Wow, that's really cool. And then form, again, a little bit wider. How's it made? How is it constructed? What materials do you use? How is it produced? Then the function. How does it work? How does it service the user? Why can it be used with ease? And why does it work well? Differentiation. What is new? Is there some innovation? And how does it support the brand? How does it differentiate if it's on the shelf, for example? How does it stand out? And how does that fit the brand? Because one design might be good for one brand, but for another brand that might not work. So you need to talk, or you should talk about the brand a little bit, how the design fit the brand and the target group. And the impact, last but not least. What targets have been reached? So you had a task, and then here you can talk about how that task was reached and what kind of results your design brought, and how the final solution reached the task or fulfilled the task. Then how does it serve society? Does it serve society? And why is it sustainable? If you have any sustainable aspect of your project, then here's the place. Maybe you reduce the parts in production, use special materials. Here's the place to talk about it. So these are the texts for the criteria, and you really should put some work on it, because the jury will give points for each criteria, and they will have, let's say, the text that you put in right where they put in the number, your score. So you need to convince them why should they put a high score, for example, impact. PDF. PDF has a maximum of 8 pages. It will, again here, the tip is to go from overview to detail, not put everything on the first page. So go make an overview and then go more into technical details. Keep in mind that the jury has all the other material that you put in, the text and the pictures already there. So you don't need to repeat everything. You don't need to put every material uploaded and the text in a PDF. That's what, talk about more additional details. Of course, the content depends on the discipline and category. Architecture might have a different PDF than product, for example. And if it's a very physical project, talk about material construction and execution, but also for digital project like a website, talk about the website structure, something which you cannot really see at the first glance. I would like to show you an example. So I have prepared a PDF, or we have prepared a PDF from a previous winner to show you. So here you will see the first page, gives you an overview, some background on the project. Then it goes more into detail. On the right side, you have a comparison of the old model and the new model. And then it goes really into technical details and shows some construction details, some setting where it's used, and some more details and specifications. So this is the kind of example which we think is good, well made. Let's go back to the presentation. Here we are. The video. Video should be maximum of 2 minutes. If you upload a longer video, we'll ask the jury to stop watching, actually, because that would be unfair to the others who stuck to the rule. Again, additional to other material, if you said something before, no need to say it again. Again, the video also depends on the discipline and category, right? It's very hard to give you some tips on the actual content because each project is so different. But sometimes real content, let's say hands-on presentation, is better than nice advertising. If you have 30 seconds of just green fields and water flowing without any facts, which is really expensive to produce, there it might be just helpful to take your phone. If you have an architecture, just walk through the room so the jury really sees it's real. That might be even better than a very expensive advertising video. You can also do a personal presentation. If it fits, you can get on the camera, take your phone or take a camera and present your project in 2 minutes. Also possible. Again, we have a short video I would like to show you. So let's switch to a video really quickly. Here we go. Again, the same project, but here you will really see the movement. Here again, it goes into technical details, element composition, reconfiguration, shows you the new project, and then some examples of the use, and then it goes more into the actual product after showing some technical details. You will see some 3D views and materials they used. So yeah. Since we are already a little short on time, I would like to cut this video now and then switch back to the presentation. Where we are, here. Okay, last but not least, make sure you're in. As I said, you can prepare your presentation, you can prepare your registration, and you need to make sure you hit the submit button. If you get an email saying you're in, you get an entry number, entry ID as we call it, and then you're in. Because sometimes people prepare their entry and they actually forget to register, and we don't want that to happen, so make sure you're in. Last but not least, ask questions. This is the team. We have a very international team. So here you see our locations. So it's pretty sure you have a representative or an IF office in your time zone and maybe even near your location. So ask questions, we are here to help you. And this now leads me to the Q&A section where we will answer the questions that you entered during the video. So let's see. Okay. Christina is asking, she has registered 2 projects which, if they could be combined, should I refer to each other in the text of the entries? Can I change the text before publications? Oh, that's actually 3 questions. So first thing, the last part, you can change the text before publication, and you can actually change the text after you're registered until the 1st of December. So if you're already registered, you can still always now go online and work on the material, even though you're registered on the 1st of December, and then after the online pre-selection. So the other one was, can I combine entries? That's a little bit more difficult. So we have to work together, write us an email, and then we'll find a solution. And should I refer to each other in the text of the entries? I would not advise, because each entry is judged alone, right? Each entry, the jury stands in front of one entry, and they might be a different jury group, and they might not know the other ones. So I wouldn't refer to the other one. Okay, next one. I finished the registration on 30th of October. Can I edit my data until December? Yes. Does it cost? No. What happens if a physical jury cannot take place due to Corona? Yes, that's of course a risk. We would like to have a physical jury in Berlin. We are planning to do that, and we are right now in the preparations, but we don't know what happens. Then we will do a digital jury, and our new jury tool, which we put in a lot of work and started it even before Corona, I think is the perfect tool to judge entries in a digital format. So I think we're safe, but we will see. Is it allowed to submit renderings? Yes, it's allowed. It depends a little bit on the project. You need to convince the jurors that it's possible to do the project like you submitted with a rendering. The same for models and prototypes. It's technically allowed, and sometimes it's also no problem. But keep in mind the jurors are designers and they know how to do renderings, they know how to do prototypes. So if you just have a nice looking rendering without any technical specifications, without anything talking about how it's constructed, what material is used, then the jury might say, well, yes, it's one thing to do a nice rendering, but it's another thing to really produce something. So you can submit renderings, but if you submit a rendering, I would put more effort in to talk about things like production and materials, even for example architecture or something. Some detailed renderings to really convince the jury that it's possible to do it the way you planned. I have registered, but I have not yet received an invoice. Is my contribution already valid? Yes, it is. You need to pay before the jury. That's of course necessary. But if you have an entry ID, you're in. And as long as you pay attention to your inbox, nothing can happen, because we will send you the invoice by email. We are checking each entry. We are checking if everything is complete. We are checking if it's not a student project, because student project technically can be submitted if you'd like. There is no rule against it. But if we see some project where it might be a student project, we need to talk to the participant and ask, because it costs money, right, to participate, and our student award is free of any charges. We don't want the students to pay money. So if they participate, we want them to be sure that they know it costs some money. So we're checking every registration, and we need some time to do that. And then we prepare the invoice, and then you have time to pay it. So your project is valid, even though you did not receive an invoice yet. Can I submit a series of product as one entry? Yes, you can. For example, if you take a TV screen, right here, sometimes you have different sizes, so that's a classical series. Or in packaging, like conditioner, shampoo, and body lotion, or something like this. So you can make this as one entry. The advantage is that you only pay one time. Of course, that's an advantage. But it's of course, you have to keep in mind that all the elements of the series have to be on the same quality level. If it's just a variation of size, or if the design, language, and production quality and everything else is on the same level, okay, that's a classical series. If you combine things which do not really fit together, or where one part is really weak, then it becomes more difficult. So that's something you should keep in mind. We can also talk about this and discuss that if you have questions. This is really something only you can judge. If you submit a series, you have to show the jury all elements of the series. So you shouldn't leave one element out. So you can. It's your decision if you want to do it. It has advantages and disadvantages. Okay. Are there any costs involved for the registration and pre-selection procedure? Yes, there is. You can find them on the website. There's a registration fee, and once you pass the online pre-selection, there's a fee for the jury. And then in the end, if you win, which we all hope, there is a fee for the winner's package. So for all the service you give, for the you get for the logo license, for your presentation in the World Design Guide, there is a winner fee. So be sure to check that out. We don't want any let's say discussions afterwards. We think it's well worth the money, and of course we have to organize everything, and there are the costs involved. So the community is covering these costs with the fees. But of course, check them out. It's important. Additional materials such as PDF and video will not be published, correct. The video you can decide if you want to publish it, and the PDF is not published. But if you get the results, you will then have some time to edit and update your material. So, for example, you can choose for the jury, you can choose more technical pictures or a very technical video. And then if you win, you can exchange the video or delete the video and not upload a new one, or change it to have a more, let's say, a different presentation of your entry. Okay, then we have another question from Jakob. What if I have 3 products in a series where 2 are completed and 1 are a design that will be launched later to 2021? Can I add all 3 products already now, or do I need to wait with the 3rd designs? Well, there I would say, write us an email and we need to talk about this. We need to take a look. You're combining 2 things, a series, which I talked about just some minutes before, and the rendering prototype issue. So that's sort of 2 things combining together, and then we need to really look at the project. It depends on the project and the state of your 3rd design, let's say. So write us an email, award@ifdesign.de, and we'll find the best possible solution for you. Okay, Ulas is asking, if the product is in production, still, what is your recommendation about visuals, photos or rendering? So I guess what you're meaning is it's not ready yet, right? It's in production, but it's not ready produced. If then it might be better to work with renderings. If you have a pre-production model, for example, or a pre-production product, like as you call it, as a 0 series or something like this, it might make sense to submit it as a picture or even in the video. Maybe you'll show the production process in a video to show the jury that it's real. The jury, as I said, they're designers, they know how these issues, and if you show the production process and maybe like a model, like the outcome of that production process at how it is right now, it will give them more confidence in your project. But of course, I would make that not the main presentation. One of the pictures, maybe the production, the current state of production. Yan Ping is asking, excuse me, can we show the company name in the video and PDF? Is it necessary to be anonymous? Ooh, very good question. We didn't think of that. No, it's not necessary. It's even, you could show the company, and as I said, the brand is a very important aspect of the design. So it's even necessary, not necessary to show the brand, but it would be not so good if it's anonymous, because you can talk about, we are a young brand from this and this market, and our brand is more casual, and that's why we chose this kind of design language. And then you can talk about the brand, and that might be a good solution to present your project. It depends on, of course, your project, the project itself. Okay, João Santos. A submission without a PDF or a video will have less possibilities of winning an award than one that fulfills the mandatory submission data, right? Well, yes, the mandatory submission data you have to provide, right? And you will see in the, it's a little bit different for each discipline and category, but you will see in the registration process, we will guide you through what you have to do and what you can do. As always, the more you do, the better. As I said before, it's not necessary to repeat things, so to do a PDF and have the same content and the same pictures and the same text in a video, or that's not helpful. But think about the advantages of each material. A PDF is more, for example, is more static, so really people can really go into the details of a project. They have more time, they have the text to read. A video is more a visualization of space and 3D, so that will help more in this regard. So think about which media is best for what you want to say. But of course, the more you do, the better. Okay, last question. We're at 44 minutes. Is it possible to submit a product which has already been submitted before in previous AF Awards? Yes, that's possible. The project shouldn't be older than 2 years by the time of registration. So this is, if you really want to boil it down, you can participate in 3 IF Awards. We think that makes sense to participate again sometimes, or if you, for example, you decide to register now if you have a prototype. Let's take this prototype question, right? You have a prototype right now. It's not really the final project yet, so you can participate this year. And then if you don't get an award, you can say like, maybe it's because it was a prototype, and submit it again next year. Also, maybe if you do not get an award this year, you might think, well, we didn't do the presentation as good as we could. So next year we have another chance, we can make maybe a better presentation. So these are reasons why we think sometimes it makes sense to submit a project again if you were not successful this year. Okay, we have a lot of questions still left. Wow, that's really, really cool. I really like that. This is what this is about, right? It's not a tutorial, it's a live webinar. We want to answer as many questions as we like, but unfortunately, we ran out of time. 45 minutes was the limit. So be sure we answer all the questions you have by email in the comments section. So bring on your questions. We'll answer all of them. I thank you for your attention. If you want to check it out again, if you want to go back, you will find the video on the various channels. So thank you for your attention. Take care, stay safe, and goodbye.